And we are live from the Heartland. Welcome to the Christian Whistleblower channel. Also, folks, the home of the Unindoctrinator podcast. I hope that James didn't have any problems over there in Nashville with that hurricane. Of course, my best friend since I was 11 years old, also a resident of Nashville. So our thoughts go out to you, folks that are in Nashville. Today, a very important subject. A subject I think that's going to encourage us. I think it's going to inspire us. And a subject that I hope will motivate us. I want to talk about some amazing stories. And I want to talk about the remarkable Raymond Palmer. We're talking about the first truthers, and he definitely was one of the first truthers. And I'm telling you, folks, so much good stuff for us to be aware of, so much good stuff for us to aspire to. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. I think you're going to really get a lot out of this. I think you're going to really enjoy this. And if you don't, you must not be paying attention. So I hope that you all will do just that. Let's jump in right now and let's talk about the remarkable Raymond Palmer. And he's remarkable for so many reasons. Number one, this is him. And this is just a normal sized guy. This is Mr. Shaver of the Shaver Mystery. And this is Raymond Palmer, 4 feet tall, never got above 4 feet tall because of an accident he had as a child, got hit by a truck. And so what a great man, stood tall, even though he only could stand about 4 feet tall. Interestingly enough, and there's so many things that this great truther brought to the fore. There's so many things that this great truther caused us to think about. There's so many great things that this truther caused us to understand. And it just makes me feel like we are not doing our job here and now. Raymond Alfred Palmer was born on the 1st of August, 1910 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And he always thought that he remembered seeing Halley's Comet. And he remembered his grandmother sitting him on her lap and showing him Halley's Comet. They would watch it out the window as it went by. But as it really happened, he was alive when Halley's Comet went by, but he was still in his mother's womb when Halley's Comet went by. Yet he has distinct memories. We lost him a few years back. He had distinct memories about seeing Halley's Comet alive, or Halley's Comet, while he was still in the womb. And the question right from the beginning of his life causes me to ask myself, when can the spirit begin to externalize itself? But maybe a far better question is, when does the spirit forget how to externalize itself? It's so easy to say, oh, there's no way he saw Halley's Comet, he's just making it up. That's what people that don't want to unindoctrinate themselves will say. That's how people that don't want to unindoctrinate themselves will act. Those of us that do want to grow, those of us that do want to develop, those of us that do want to unindoctrinate ourselves will say, wow, this guy saw Halley's Comet from inside the womb. Probably doesn't mean he was in the womb. He actually externalized himself. And I've done a lot of work, and I'm probably gonna have to get back into it. I don't like to do it. It's hard. And most people don't value it. But I have taken people back to the womb, working out traumas, and invariably, folks, the earliest traumas of a person, I won't say invariably, but in the greatest amount of the cases, is a womb or pre-womb wound. I know some of you don't believe that, don't care. I'm letting you know it's pre-birth. Most of the traumas that we suffer from are pre-birth trauma. So I have no difficulty, because I've actually done the work. I have no difficulty because I've actually opened my mind up to possibilities that he did see Halley's Comet probably as an externalized spirit. And in his mind, he was sitting on his mother's lap. In reality, he was sitting on his grandmother's lap. But when does the spirit forget how to externalize itself? I have a feeling I'm going to be dragged kicking and screaming back into discussion and work on that. And if it be so, let it be. And interestingly enough, especially ironically, when he got hit by the truck, only 4 feet tall, developed a hunchback, not very physically attractive in conventional terms. But as a baby, Raymond Palmer was featured on milk cartons in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as the most beautiful baby in Milwaukee. Now, I didn't know that they used to put beautiful baby contests on milk cartons, but I do know that they did. Don't know if they still do, but they put missing kids on milk cartons. And I can't help but wonder, and I can't help but think, and I can't help but allow my investigatory mind to say, did they start putting good-looking kids on milk cartons so that these pedophiles, these sacrificers, could locate them? And did that morph into the pretty kids on the milk carton turns into the abducted kids on the milk carton? Did that mean that it turned into the abducted kids on the milk carton? Think about that. We haven't even got past his childhood yet. And we're bringing up huge, amazing questions from the life of Raymond A. Palmer. His mother died in the midst of his injuries. This guy had every reason to pack it in. This guy had every reason to give it up. This guy had every reason to do nothing, but he went on to do great, amazing, and total things. Great, amazing, and powerful things. So he never gave up, ladies and gentlemen. He just moved up. And if you're out there and you're thinking about giving up, I'm not saying you don't have a tough life. If you're out there and you're thinking about giving up, I'm not saying you don't have it rough. I'm not saying you don't have it hard. I'm saying there's people that have had it just as rough. There's people that have had it just as hard and didn't give up. My grandfather used to tell me a story about the man who had no shoes was very, very sad until he met the man that had no feet, and then he didn't feel so bad. Even if it seems like you don't have shoes, ladies and gentlemen, even if you don't have shoes, there's somebody else that doesn't have feet, and they've still got a smile on their face. Palmer was part of the Milwaukee Fictioneers. It was a group that included the likes of Robert Bloch, who later would write a book called Psycho that you've all heard of. And throughout the 1930s, this man, even though he was 4 feet tall, was a dynamo within science fiction fandom. That means all the people that loved science fiction, they'd get together. They didn't have the internet, so they'd write letters to each other. They'd have newsletters. They'd go to each other's houses like meetups kind of do today. And he gave a model and showed everybody how to do this. Star Trek Communicator from Dan Madsen, all of these fanzines. He invented this stuff. 4 feet tall, Raymond Palmer invented this stuff. And that milk carton shit is creepy. And then the biggest paranormal magazine of the time was called Amazing Stories. And it had fallen on hard times. And he got hired to be the editor of it, and he turned it into a great, great success. He was the first to publish Isaac Asimov. If you don't know who that is, he wrote I, Robot. He also published Ray Bradbury, who wrote Fahrenheit 451. And this made him integral in the first disclosure of AI and futuristic dystopian plans. Not only did he talk to us about externalizing the soul, not only did his life help to expose pedophilia and child abduction, and wait, we'll get more to it. Here he is exposing us to the first ideas of AI takeover, robotic takeover, exposing us to the first ideas of a fear and guilt control matrix. This dude was Morpheus before Morpheus. And Raymond A. Palmer reminds us that what we do is vital. Those of us that really do this for a purpose, those of us that do this as a passion, those of us that do this as a mission, and if you don't, get the hell off YouTube, please. We do it because we know it's vital. We know that we're changing the world every single day. We know that we're affecting people in not only in this life, but in the life beyond. And it's time for us, our genre, whatever you call it. I hate all the names they call it. I call it those that are unindoctrinating themselves, but the truthers, the new age, whatever you call it. It's time for us to undergo a fundamental reassessment of everything we think about everything we think we know. There's an interesting question in the chat room. Dyer says it's interesting. I want to take a look at it and see what it was. What was that question? What was that question? Is there any difference in the memory reset at birth theory of natural birth versus C-section? Flat Albert, I'm glad you said the memory reset at birth theory, because I don't know that it is any more than a theory, but it's one of those things that everybody knows and everybody accepts it, and then it ends up being something that everybody experiences. So that's a good point. The C-section versus the memory reset through the birth canal. Very interesting. Very interesting. Or is there some other spiritual difference? I don't know. That's a show right there. C-section v. natural birth. That's a good one right there. I like that. That's a good one. But it is time for us to undergo a fundamental reassessment of everything we think we know about everything that we think we know. Because, oh, folks, we've been weighed in the balance and we are found wanting. And there is a method to my madness. People say, Jeff, you're always yelling, you're always screaming, you're always challenging, you're the contrarian. I'm the happy contrarian. You're against everything. You're always bringing out what's wrong. You're always setting people straight. Well, there's a method to my madness, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard the song, "The answers, my friend, are blowing in the wind." The answers are blowing in the wind. You know that song. And the answers are blowing in the wind. We've just stopped listening to them. Because the truth of the reality is that there's no more real truthers. There's no more Raymond Palmers anymore. There's no more sharp shavers anymore. There's no more, and we'll get to some of the names, there's no more of those people. There's no more of those people. There's precious few real truthers, mission-oriented, called, can't do nothing else, won't do nothing else truthers. Now we have profiteers searching for bad news that generates big clicks. And you can roll your eyes. You can say, there goes Jeff again. Somebody has to say it, and I'll stop saying it when it stops happening. Now we have profiteers searching for bad news that generates big clicks. The answers are in the ether. The truths are in the ether. And when we tune into the ether, instead of watching other people's YouTubes and watching the mainstream media to try to get our material and stop just doing what gets us more clicks and doing what gets us more subscribers and doing what gets us more money, when we tune into the ether, we are of service. You know what the problem is? The vast majority of all YouTube channels are service to self, not service to others. We used to grab those ideas out of the ether, and we used to help make them more discernible to humanity. Now we're indistinguishable from the mainstream media. Shame on us. We need to get back, and we need to rise again to the high standards of Raymond A. Palmer. We need to get the people that are looking for the amazing stories and not for the profitable stories. We got to look for the people that are looking for the fantastic ideas and not the most profitable ideas. Shame on us. We can do better. We have to do better. And Palmer also began to experiment with a new variation on science fiction, the ancient mysteries. Not only did he, oh man, okay, let's just say that he started right here. He started talking about ancient mysteries. Wow, he started the ancient mysteries. Puma, pinky, puma, pinky, punta, panka, puna. You know what I'm talking about. Puma, pinke. I can't remember the name of it anymore. All of those places, he started the ancient mysteries, the shaver mystery. Basically, Palmer created us. Palmer presented these stories as telling truths about the real state of the world, and that's what real truthers do. We show these ideas and show how they relate to our world today. This is our great work, but we're absent without leave because we are off trying to make a dollar and try to make ourselves famous. Not only did Palmer create the ancient mysteries genre, he also invented the flying saucer genre. He's called the man that invented the UFO. And he did it way before Roswell, ladies and gentlemen. We're supposed to be ahead of the knowledge curve. But instead, we're dogs chasing one another's tails and parroting the mainstream media. Palmer provided a meeting place for the fantastic visions of science fiction and the separate but oddly similar components of the occult narratives. Look at the things he brought to the world. Science fiction, ancient mysteries, UFOs, occultic narratives, the paranormal. One guy. And all we can do now is, I keep saying it because I love the line, "Oh, Susie, did you hear the thing about the thing? Oh my God, it's so bad." All we can talk about is how bad everything is, how rough everything is, how horrible everything is. You can't tell the difference between the mainstream media and the lamestream twofer truther meetings. You can't. And I, for one, am disgusted. And Palmer got too close to too much truth. By the late 40s, he had record readership in his magazine, record sales in his magazine, record advertising sales in his magazine. They were making money hand over fist, but the publisher forced him to drop his shaver mystery and his more esoteric content. Shaver mystery was the underground world where they were abducting humans and where the UFOs were coming from. That's right. Originally, the UFOs came from the underground world. Palmer blamed this on the Deros. And I want you to know something, and this is amazing to me. This is how you know when you're a baller. This is how you know when you are a player. Well, I can't really say that because some people have this just because they're bad people. But this guy had it, and he had it for all of the right reasons, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to pull up a file for you that I just find remarkable. And I find it remarkable. He didn't get this because he was stupid. He didn't get this because he was violating the law. A lot of people get this because they're stupid. And stupid means lack knowledge. No, ignorant means lack knowledge. Stupid means knowledge there, but I don't want it. That's when I use the word stupid. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Some people get this because they're stupid. Some people get this because they're crooks. Some people get this because they're crooked. But Yeah, I hit the wrong button. Sorry, guys. I hit the wrong button and we got blown out to something. So let me do it again. Sorry about that. I want to show you something and I hit the wrong button and I blew it out. So my bad. But let me show you this because it is really, really interesting. And what it is, and I don't know much about this website, but I do know they've got some interesting stuff, obviously, because I'm, taking a look at it. But look at this. This is from this website called the Black Vault. And this is Raymond Palmer's FBI file. The FBI had a file on him, not because he was a crook, not because he did stupid stuff, but they had a file on him because of his research, ladies and gentlemen. Keep an eye on this guy. And it's funny. I think it's interesting. I've been called a commie here lately because I dare to question the common rationale on the damn coronavirus. I get called a commie. Raymond got called a commie. He's got 32 pages. Look, propaganda. He's got 32 pages of an FBI file, not because he did stupid stuff, not because he wouldn't get permits, not because he broke laws, but because he was sharing information that the government felt was threatening to them. He's spreading fictional incidents and characters. Well, you don't mind when the mainstream media does this, but the point was that this guy was a guy that was so good at his job that the FBI was investigating him. Now, I know Melanie says if you get attacked, you're over the target. Yes and no. We've got to remember that is not necessarily so, because there's a bunch of idiots in this genre of ours that want to tell you they're being attacked when they're being attacked for breaking the law. They're being attacked for saying stupid things and trying to do things that are illegal. That doesn't mean they're over the target. That means they're stupid. That means that they don't mind putting people in danger to aggrandize themselves. That means that they're trying to perpetrate and start false flags for who knows what reason. Only they know. But just because you're getting attacked doesn't mean you're over the target. Just because you're getting attacked doesn't mean that you're doing right. Sometimes you're getting attacked because you deserve to be attacked. That's just the truth of the matter. So I know, Melanie, you were saying it in a very positive way, but I just want you guys to be cognizant of that fact and not fall for the, I'm being attacked, so I must be really, really cool. No, not necessarily. It's a yes and a no. Sometimes a yes, sometimes a no, and you have to be careful which one is happening at that time. Don't get taken down that rabbit hole. So by the late 1940s, he got shut down. He said it was the Daros. Remember the detrimental robots that lived under the ground? Who said he was wrong? Who knows if the leaders of this cabal that is against us aren't from under the ground? That's where they saw them all coming from. That's where the researchers saw them coming from and knew that's where they came from. He said it was the Daros that shut him down. Are the Daros the FBI? Are the Daros the deep state? But Palmer, he responded like a real truther would. He came out from under his other pen name. He had a pen name Robert Webster. He was publishing something called Fate magazine on the side. So he just came out, published Fate 100% under his own name, launched the flying saucer genre, gave it a secure place in American culture, also covered paranormal ideas, ghosts, cryptozoology, telepathy, teleportation, reincarnation. Raymond Palmer started all that. What have you done lately? It was called the National Geographic for the explorers of the anomalous or weird. What have we done lately? Some people say they're getting attacked like Jesse Smollett. says Tracy Dyer. And I know his name is supposed to be Juicy, but even Chris Rock said he didn't get to be called Juicy no more. He just Jesse because he did that stupidity. And interestingly enough, Raymond Palmer was born just after a comet, just after Halley's Comet, and just before a star. Raymond Palmer died the day before Elvis Presley died on August 15th, 1977. John Keel, a great researcher, remarks that it was Palmer that was most responsible for holding together what he called the flying saucer subculture. Palmer was the one that started us being paranoid of larger structures and institutions, hidden ones and the ones that we can see. Raymond Palmer died after an operation for a blocked artery in his neck on the day before Elvis Presley died, 15 August 1977. An end of a remarkable life, but the end of his life didn't end his work, ladies and gentlemen. It did not end his work. The Shaver Mysteries was and is one of the greatest puzzles of our time. Bound up within it are the answers, I'm convinced, of most of our esoteric, occult, and psychic questions. And yet, it lies forgotten under the feet of today's fake truthers. There's little doubt. First-hand researchers, people that went and saw the stuff, say that Shaver was telling the truth. He did have artifacts from these caverns under the earth. They did go and see these things, and these things were real. He had photographs of the rays and the ray guns. There was a vast array of sources proving the existence of inhabited prehistoric tunnels under the earth. Under the earth. Devotees say that it was a Shaver mystery, not the words of Jeebus, that would explain our times and beyond. And yet today's truthers are stuck at the feet of the ET hypothesis. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Let me slow down a minute. Mystery was the thing that explained all of the things that we deal with now. It was the thing that explains all of the things that Palmer dealt with and Palmer talked about. And the main thing to understand about that was that the Shaver mystery said that the ETs, that the UFOs, that the abductions, that the eating and taking of humans, children, men, women, all of this was true. It was real, but it was from under the ground. Subterranean on this earth, and they had proof of it. Today, both the mainstream media and the lamestream truther media has ignored the proof, has stood on has grown by climbing on the shoulders of giants, and then pissed on them and said, no, it's from out there in space, which they have zero proof of. They took real proof. They took something much more in line with Occam's razor and logic and observable reality and destroyed it, laughed at it. That's old school. In favor of this new idea of the extraterrestrial hypothesis that everything, those ETs, those ships, secret space program, it's all now off-world. They climbed to the places that they are on the shoulders of the giants like Raymond Palmer that went before us. And when they got up there, they pissed all over the giants and changed the truth into a lie and are now saying the same things that the mainstream media is saying. What's the mainstream media say about ETs? They're real. What's the mainstream media say about ETs? Oh, we got pictures of them. They're out there. What are the lamestream fake truthers saying? The same thing. What am I saying? I'm saying that we're being played. It's not from outer space. It's right from under this place. And we need to get back to the reality and back to the truth that our forefathers in this genre brought to us. Many writers in the past, ladies and gentlemen, let me share this with you. We're coming to an end. Many writers in the past, and I love the old writers and I hate the new writers because they just don't write anything worth listening to. Many writers in the past and the present knew or suspected that the existence of caverns beneath the surface of the earth, and that there was a power beneath the surface of the earth, that there were forces, that there was a race that was influencing humanity, usually for evil, from beneath the earth. The legends of evil spirits, tales of strange happenings and good spirits, strange disappearances. Charles Fort came closest to guessing or knowing the mysteries that are contained in the artificial cave world beneath Earth's surface. He taught that we were routinely abducted or fished. Who would you have more faith in? Somebody like Charles Fort or one of these click-chasing, low-integrity talking heads on lamestream truth or media today? These people couldn't even read a Charles Fort book. They lack the intelligence. There's races trading in humans as slaves or food. Charles Fort talked about this. Charles Palmer talked about this. Shaver talked about this. And what do we have today? Oh, there are races trading in humans as slaves or as foods, but now it's become the secret space program that there's no proof of. Zero proof. We went from something that does have proof and does make sense to something that has no proof and makes no sense and changes our focus from here to out there. Not to mention from here to out there as well. Fort, Palmer, Shaver talked about unexplained disappearances, people seen one moment, never again, even in the large cities where they would be presumably well guarded. If the reader lives anywhere near the country's large cities, Fort wrote, he might call a missing persons bureau, get the local statistics on the annual number of disappearances that are not accounted for, then figure out how many larger cities there are in the whole nation and do the math. As long as we think that it's coming from an SSP, it's coming from ETs, it's coming from out there, we will never do anything because we feel disempowered. How can we stop extraterrestrials? How can we stop part of the people being off-worlded for the secret space program? How can we stop people being off-worlded for meat and work on Mars? How can we stop it? We're unempowered. We're just little humans. Can't you see? Can't you understand? It's not ETs. It's right here, and we can stop it. We can turn it around. We can bring it to an end. It's within our grasp. That other stuff, they want us to say, to believe it's beyond our reach. So we'll just say, nothing we can do. But it's right here within our grasp to make a change in this world and to stop these horrible things. Our job isn't just to make videos and sell books and shirts and get invited to speak at conventions and go pat each other on the back for how brilliant we are. That's not what we're here for. We're here to change the world. We're here to make it a better place. We're here to combat evil. But we've forgotten about all that because all we care about is how many subscribers we got, how much money we're getting at the end of the day, and how many conferences we get paid to speak at, and whether we're on Gaia or not. That's all we worry about anymore. There was a systematic suppression of Shaver, Palmer by truthers. And I ask you, truther girl, truther boy, is it really just one for the money, two for the show? Is that all you're really here for? One for the money, two for the show? Are today's truthers bought and paid for agents of deception? Yes, many of them are. And many of you are watching ones that are, and you're part of the problem, not part of the solution. I ask you again, why do the people you listen to sound just like the mainstream media? The mainstream media is talking about how bad this virus is, but you're listening to and supporting people that are talking about how bad this virus is. The mainstream media talks about how there's ETs out there, and the people you listen to and support are talking about how there's ETs out there. You can't tell the difference between your favorite YouTube personality and the mainstream, lamestream media. We've turned our backs on the efforts and discoveries of the first truthers to embrace the new ET hypothesis almost completely, and it has all the clear earmarks of systematic deception and systematic distraction. Palmer invented flying saucers. The man responsible for the most well-known of all such modern myths, flying saucers, has somehow been forgotten. And in 1947, the editor of Amazing Stories watched in astonishment as the things he'd been predicting for years in his magazine suddenly came true. This guy was talking about UFOs, and he was talking about craft for years, and they suddenly came true. And they didn't come out of the heavens, they came from the earth. But then he got shut down. He got shut down, literally. There's a bad force under the earth. They're taking children, they're taking people. They don't like us, they're not good for us. They want to defeat us. They have mind rays, MK Ultra. They have mind rays that control our thoughts. And they're coming. And they did. And they came from out of the earth. The first UFO sightings in the world were out of mountains. He was shut down. And the space narrative took over. And once this space narrative, this ET hypothesis had been set up, it became self-perpetuating. Palmer himself claimed that he was forced by nefarious forces to stop publishing the Shaver mystery. And in its stead came the ETs from beyond the stars. Believers suddenly don't need any real evidence anymore. Do you realize that back when Palmer was writing, people said, give us evidence. So he gave them evidence. He invited them to Chicago. He showed them the pictures. He showed them the artifacts. Shaver took them to the tunnels. They had proof. But now we don't need any real evidence anymore. We believe in the extraterrestrial hypothesis, and we believe in it with zero evidence. The only evidence that we have is anecdotal evidence, stories of other people. I call it the Jeebus effect. The same standard of proof that people accept for Jeebus of the Bible. Oh, we know there's no historical proof. We know there's no artifacts. We know there's no anthropological proof. We know there's no writing about him for 300 years, even though he was in the midst of the most literate society ever. We know that nobody wrote about him, but a lot of people talk about him, and a lot of people believe he's true, so we believe he's true. Jesus, Jeebus, the Jeebus effect brought us the ET effect. And isn't it funny that the standard of truth, the standard of reality, the standard of being real without having to prove you're real, that came from Jeebus is now being applied to the ETs. Maybe there's a connection, ladies and gentlemen. Palmer opened our eyes to questions like, when can the spirit externalize itself? Or when does the spirit forget how to externalize itself? He opened our eyes to famously beautiful babies being on milk cartons And all of a sudden, the next step is beautiful children are on milk cartons because they've been abducted. Who knows where? He was telling us where. He started the flying saucer craze, told us about UFOs before they ever hit. Norseman, thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate it. He's the one that mainstreamed paranormal, ghosts, cryptozoology, telepathy, teleportation, reincarnation. He's the one that taught us to be paranoid of larger structures and institutions. He's the one that told us about the caverns beneath the surface of the earth and that there was a power dwelling there. He's the one that taught us that we were being routinely abducted and fished for. He's the one that taught us that there are races trading in humans as slaves or food. He's the one that taught us. And yet, somehow we've forgotten. And he told us it was all right here, not from out there. Today, we don't remember where we came from as a movement. We don't remember where the ideas came from. And today, we just babble on about them. We don't care what the original context was. If Palmer tuned into YouTube today, he would probably laugh and then get really pissed. He was a small man that lived like a giant. Today, we're giants that live like small men, and I'm about to strangle a couple of dogs, ladies and gentlemen. Holy crap. Can you hear that stuff? I know they're doing their job, but gee, money Christmas. Gee, money Christmas. Give me just 1 second to calm them down. I'll be right back. What do you think about this? What do you say about this? How do you respond to this? The remarkable Raymond A. Palmer, the first truther, and hopefully not the last. And if I have anything to do with it, he won't be. Let's go into the chat room real quickly, and let's see what you folks have to say. And let's see what you folks believe, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, here we go, folks. Rolling right on along. Cynthia had nothing to do with it. That was me. Cynthia had nothing to do with it. That was me. It's almost as if Palmer was a major societal paradigm changer on the same level as Nikola Tesla. Really, really good statement, Flat Albert. Really, really good statement. Really good statement. That is some good stuff right there. And it's so true. As you look and understand, there's so many different parallels and paradigms. It's amazing good stuff. Some say that we're being attacked, but it's the juicy Smollett variety. Absolutely. We already touched on that one. And it's absolutely true. Joe Biden, I can't believe they're going to nominate a guy with dementia, but it looks like they're going to. It looks like they're going to. Service to others is the supreme. I agree with that. I agree with that. I wonder if Doctor Who bad guy Davros was named after the Darrow. So I would imagine it would have to be Imaginary Man. That's too close of a corollary, I would say. The MSM infiltrates you and leads you astray, just like the New Testament. Absolutely. Very well stated. There's ancient documented star forts in countries across the world. Do they have something to do with subterranean living? Great question. Great question, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. So nauseating that this level of truth is unearthed, been all beneath us. Hence the phrase rabbit hole. And by the way, which way do rabbit holes go? Do rabbit holes go down or do rabbit holes go up? We want to go down the rabbit hole. We want to search it out. Our search, folks, is not up. Our search is down. Our search is not up. Our search is all around. Rex evidently interviewed somebody a few weeks ago about small people living underground who've seen tunnel entrances. Absolutely. Absolutely. Lots of people go missing in our national parks. Absolutely. So true. Maybe the secret space program is the space in between. Oh, really good point. Really, really good point. Elon Musk owns a boring company and a space company. Which one gets the most attention? I didn't know he owned a boring company. Boring holes, those of you that are Christians, is what he means. Boring holes in the earth. Wow, they say look out there when really they don't want us looking right here. Sad thing is, I never heard of this guy, says Willie B. None of the truthers nowadays have ever researched or talked about this guy. You could stop right there with none of the truthers nowadays have ever researched. They're not researchers. They're repeaters. They go look for bad news and then broadcast it and touch their Peters watching their numbers go up. That's what they're all about. My pleasure for bringing him to your attention. That's what I'm here for, to bring you the message of the original truthers and build upon it. They want us to, take your eye off the ball. Tracy Dyer getting deep. I got a show coming up later today. And it's not a flat earth show. It's just a show called Occam's Razor and the Heliocentric Model. Because most of you have forgotten how to think for yourselves. Most of you are afraid to think for yourselves. And I'll prove it to you within about 15 minutes later on today. Later on today. It's time to start digging. Spring's right around the corner. Well put. Just for the money. Says just the truth. You're absolutely right. Have I ever been hypnotized? No, I have not been hypnotized, nor will I allow myself to be hypnotized. What else we got? Some good stuff in here. I know we got some good stuff. The truthers are becoming what they are speaking against and dislike the mainstream. That's exactly what they're becoming like. Willie B, very well said. Thanks so much for that, Norseman. I appreciate you very, very much. I salute you for supporting this work for truth. I really do feel better about it. I really do feel better about what's going on. Yo, Jeff, I love this topic. I could have sworn David Wilcock or Linda Howe talked of this, but externalized it. Thank you for bringing it back home. That's what we're all about. Bringing the truth home, ladies and gentlemen. Bringing the truth home. That's what we're here to do. Let's see. Aliens are spooking the dogs. No, it was the UPS guy. But were they just crazy? I mean, wow. Wow, yeah. Tenacious D, his dog heard it and started barking. Jay, Merry Christmas. I know they're doing their jobs, but my goodness, it was time to get them the hell out of here. So now they're back on the back porch. They're back on the back porch. Okay, what else we got? Pamela Jean says she's been underground with aliens. You mean you've been underground with indigenous beings that are underground? I think that's what you mean. I think that's what you mean. They have always known that we will be onto them. They're trying to control it, but we are not allowed to. We're not going to allow them to do it any longer. We are not going to allow them to do it any longer. You're getting very sleepy. That's funny. Trying to hypnotize me, are you? If you've been to church, you've been hypnotized. Well put, Tracy Dyer. Well put. Well put. Norseman, stop it. You're a carpenter. You use the water every day. How to water around globe. Ah, such good stuff. They tried to hypnotize me, says Jama, but it didn't work, or else I'd still be in church. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you so much for being here. Remember, you're not filled with original sin. You got the spark of divinity within. You're divine, you're sovereign, you're free. You don't have sin. You don't need salvation. You don't need their savior. You don't. We are the last generation of real humans, and that's okay because we got this. We got this. We're here to unindoctrinate ourselves and then to help unindoctrinate others. And I know Mark Twain said it's a lot easier to fool people than to convince them they've been fooled. Well, our job is the hard part. And I'm glad you're here to help me do it because I can't do it without you. For Tracy Dyer, our great moderator, and all the other great moderators, for the lovely Cynthia, I salute you for being here, seeking after truth. And just because it's much harder to convince you you've been fooled than it is to fool you, it doesn't mean that we're going to stop trying because we're in the world-changing business, cousins, and that business is a booming. And always remember, no matter what they say, things are not bad in getting worse. Things are good in getting better, and we're here to make damn sure they do. See you in a little while to talk about Occam's razor and the heliocentric model. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Thank you for being here. I salute you for seeking after truth.